what if they find out and then what if they react badly? What if I get beat up? What if like this happens all the time? So that's always in the back of my head. So when I finally was able to tell my story, it was such a huge relief, for me. Hi, NBC Chicago. This is Gisele Shaw from Impact Wrestling. So, being born in the Philippines, I was there until I was 12, 13 years old. Watched wrestling all my life. Loved it. It was, specifically with my grandmother. And then that was our bond, because she'd always be like, "Oh my gosh, like, did you see wrestling? And like what happened and all that stuff." And she gets so excited. And then, my grandmother, she got sick when I was a bit younger. And so for me, like, that's like my special connection to wrestling is, like, I'm doing it for me, but I'm also doing it for my grandmother. And hopefully she's, watching me and being like, yeah, like, I'm your number one fan. Uh, and then, so we immigrated to Canada, lived in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. It's really, really cold. And, I lived there for 5 years. When I turned 18 or 19, I moved down to Edmonton, and I was a flight attendant at the time. And yeah, I met up with some, friends. Well, I went to the gym with a friend who had, who his friends were also wrestlers. And then they were like, do you want to come to a show? And I go, well, what kind of show is this? They go, like a wrestling show. And I'm like, is this Greco wrestling or is this like WWE style? And then they go, WWE style. And I go, oh, absolutely, yes. So I went there, and just my love for wrestling and then seeing that live for the first time, I was like, it just grew. And I just loved it so much that I was like, and I always remember this. And I said to the promoter, hi, I really want to be a wrestler because I want to be the next Trish Stratus. And then the promoter was like, okay, cool. Well, you need to get trained. So before I disclose my story, I have always told people where, I was always on the edge. It was it was hard for me, like I would go to a restaurant and then feel like I would have to be like, oh my gosh, like that person's staring at me. They know, like it was always like, it was just a scary position to be in because I'm always thinking like, what if they find out and then what if they react badly? What if I get beat up? What if like this happens all the time, so that's always in the back of my head. So when I finally was able to tell my story, it was such a huge relief, for me that, like I remember Gail actually telling me when I was performing before I disclosed my story, she'll be like, you know what, like something's holding you back. And I don't know what that is, but something's holding you back, like she'd always like send me, like GIFs of like Mariah, Beyonce, and J-Lo. She's like, and she'd be like, you need to be like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. And then I disclosed my story, and she was like, yes, that's it. That was the thing that was holding you back, um, and people saw that because when I went to the ring, I was always like, oh my gosh, like, do the fans know? Do they? And it really affected my work. So not only was it very liberating for me personally, but also like at work, at Impact Wrestling, and just to be able to be free and to be authentic and not care what people really think, and it's really affected me positively going forward, and just be happy. You know what? So when it was really, really nerve wracking because I told my story, and then I'm like, man, like I have to go back to work. And then, I shared locker rooms with people, and I'm not sure like how comfortable they are, or, some guys at work might have been like, oh, like friendly, what I mean? And like, what if they think like, oh my gosh, like, she's deceived us or something or whatever. But I went back to work and they were so accepting, from management to talent to front office, they were just so supportive of me. And just, they made sure like how they asked me how I was mentally, emotionally, because that was a lot. Like it was like a roller coaster, feeling for me of emotions. So it was great. It was great to go back to work and feel accepted and supported. And that's all I could really ask for my peers. And, and now like, it's like no one cares. You know what I mean? Like I've always had this in my head where I'm thinking, is this what they think? And they're just going, no, like as long as you're happy, like we're supportive of you and we love you and we're just happy that you're happy. So I disclosed to my family, I think when I was like 18 or 19 years old, fully, like I said, like, this is who I am going forward. It is what it is. And it's such a scary moment because they have such high expectations of you, that it's like, oh my gosh, here's our baby, boy. And then they go, yes, they're going to carry the family name. And I'm an infant. I don't know what's going on, but this is already being put on me. Like what? And then, as you grow up, they're like, they expect like you to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, like whatever. So they're like, oh, we only accept 90s in this household. Like anything, anything less than that, anything less than a 90 is a fail. So it is a lot of pressure, but I'm really happy that my sisters were there, very supportive of me from the start. And I know it took a long time for my mom and dad to really accept, who I am. But what matters now is that they do, and I've never been closer to them, um, like ever in my life. And I'm happy that they are supportive of me because a lot of people out there, um, they don't have that support. So I'm very, very fortunate as a person that I have support with my family, my friends, and my workplace. So it's a responsibility I never asked for, you know, but as they would say, sometimes responsibilities just fall, you know, onto you. And then that's you now have, you know, it's up to you on what you do with this. And for me, a lot of people inspired me growing up. So it's important for me now that I have this huge platform with Impact Wrestling, with the community, that I do something great about it. And hopefully, that the next generation, well, like not really just this, not just the next generation, but the previous generation and this generation understand and are being enlightened and inspired from my story, and that I can just hopefully raise awareness and do, when I am done with wrestling, that I can leave and then they go, you know what? That's the legacy that she left, and that I helped and changed people's lives because I represented them. So, I feel like as people, we just need to be really loving and caring for one another. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are hateful, but I don't think that they're really bad people. They are just uneducated, misinformed people. So now our responsibility, as people in the community, is to help them understand and educate them. And, like, we're never going to get anywhere if they're angry and then I'm angry. And then it's just like, okay, cool. Then we're at an impasse because we're not understanding each other. But if I hear them out and I go, okay, I hear what you're saying. This is my point of view. Let's talk about it. And find a common ground, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. When people go, oh my gosh, this is what they're doing and stuff, whatever. And then I'm sitting here because, like they don't know about my story. And then they're saying something really nasty. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And then I tell them and they go, oh my gosh, like you're normal. Like that's not totally what I expected, because, for the longest time, Hollywood has put trans people in a spotlight where we're all like mentally ill, or we're the villains of the story and we're all murderers and rapists or something or whatever. But you know what? So that's what like that's what they think when trans people are being, discussed in a subject. But once they know a trans person, they go, oh my gosh, this is totally different from what I had in my mind. And they go, okay, cool. Well, then this is why it's important for me to be vocal about it, to be vocal for the people that don't have that voice, and to be able to use this platform for good, and to, shine a light and show people that we're all the same, you know what? I'm just so shocked at the reach that I have, in the queer community, and just in, people in general. It really, really shocks me still to this day. And I just, I really appreciate the support and the love. And, I see everyone. I see all of your comments and stuff. And just sometimes, like, I may not have, the time to respond because I'm doing something or whatever, but I do see you and I appreciate all the love. And, I hope that I'm representing the community as best as I can, and I'm doing it justice, and that I'm able to leave a great legacy that people, not only in the community, but outside of the community as well, just proud of what I've done. And, keep supporting, and, have a conversation with me, wherever you see me, like, come say hi. Like, I love conversing with everyone. So Impact Wrestling is coming to Chicago, July 20th and 29th at Cicero Stadium. I'm so excited that the quintessential diva and the Shantaraj are going to be there alongside, with our amazing Impact superstars and knockouts. So we can't wait to see you there, and I look forward to seeing all of you.